So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K24 Next Gen. In today's video, we are back with another episode of our off-season rebuild series, and today it's going to be the Dallas Mavericks. 2 nights ago, the Mavericks season ended at the hands of the Boston Celtics in a 5-game gentleman's sweep in the NBA Finals. Now, first and foremost, I'm sure many of you are aware, I am a Celtics fan, and yes, I am on top of the world. But first, I want to give a ton of credit to Dallas, because this was a team that did not make the playoffs last year, although it was likely intentional they didn't make the playoffs. And they came into this season with a new focus. They had an absolutely A-plus trade deadline, and ultimately ran through a very, very good Western Conference to make it all the way to the NBA Finals, where they just ran into a buzzsaw in the Celtics. To be honest with you, I don't know if anybody was going to beat the Celtics, but this Dallas team is definitely going to be here for years to come, and I very much expect them to be competitive in a very good West. And finally, as always, let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section. I believe we are now officially under 10 days away from the NBA draft, so we're going to have tons of prospect rebuilds. Free agency is going to open shortly after that. I'm sure we'll have at least 1 or 2 blockbuster trades as we always do, but from this period to the draft, let me know anything you want to see down below in the comment section, and yes, the Celtics rebuild is coming tomorrow. So, very, very excited for this one today. Once again, huge, congratulations to Mavericks fans. Trust me, I've been on the other side of it. It sucks. There's nothing worse than losing in the finals, but I'm going to try to get you a championship today. Let's get into it. As we always do, let's kick off this offseason rebuild by talking about this Dallas Mavericks team that, of course, has had an absolutely fantastic run as a 5 seed all the way to the NBA Finals. So, starting out here at the point guard spot, Luka Doncic, one of the top 2-3 players in all of basketball. I don't care where you rank him. He is an absolute superstar, one of the best players in this league right now, and he's only 25 years old. This is a guy that's going to be very, very dominant for a very long time. Look, he had his up and down moments in the finals. He's always going to give you relatively solid offensive numbers. Relatively solid is in his terms. I mean, of course, they'd be, pretty much generational numbers for anybody else. But no, he's an absolute stud. And I'm not going to sit here and try to lie to any of you and say he wasn't the best player in the series, because he was. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Sure, his defense was not great for games 1 through 3. And then, of course, in game 5, it really wasn't anything special. So I'm of the opinion that this is going to be a first ballot Hall. Well, he already probably is a first ballot Hall of Famer. You understand my point. He's going to be a superstar for a very long time. He's the guy we're building around here today. I'm very excited about that. That was a long speech for a very quick point. Jaden Hardy's here. Didn't play a lot in the NBA Finals. He's only 22. I do think there is some nice room for growth there. Of course, probably not going to be getting a ton of minutes behind Luka at the point guard spot, but we could also play him at the 2 guard. We will figure it out. I am excited about it. Let's talk about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was a former Celtic, and I am not the biggest fan, but I'm also not one of those salty SOBs that can't get over things, right? It was years and years ago. I'm over it. I'm good. All things considered, Kyrie Irving is one of the most skilled players in NBA history. I don't know what it is that the guy just cannot play at TD Garden anymore. He's like 0-14 at TD Garden since he stomped on the Celtics logo. So I don't know. I don't know if the fans get to. I don't know what it is, but he's not good at TD Garden, and he was not good in the NBA Finals. Had 2 really solid games at home. They won one, lost the other, but he's Kyrie. He's still an incredibly gifted player no matter which way you look at him. And I'm very excited to have him as my backcourt mate next to Luka Doncic. Tim Hardaway Jr., who I'm not very, high on, to be quite honest with you. I know he had a solid kind of game 4. The one game they did win this series, but he's not in my long-term plans, just being honest with you. AJ Law said I'm not going to sit here and lie to you good people and tell you I know a lot about him. Dante Exum, pretty good season out of him. I think he actually came back from overseas. I believe, he spent a couple years overseas. And then had a pretty good season, all things considered, for the Dallas Mavericks. Probably not going to be my everyday kind of small forward. I know he wasn't starting in the playoffs finals, you get it, but he is our highest overall. Derrick Jones Jr. was their starting small forward throughout the playoffs and in the NBA Finals. Came over on a 1-year free agent deal and played pretty well. I would expect him to get paid this offseason. I don't know if it's going to be by Dallas or another team, but happy to see a guy like him get his career back on track. And then Josh Green, corner 3 specialist. I swear to God, I didn't think this dude was going to miss in Game 5. He was carrying their offense for a little while. So Josh Green is certainly a nice piece at only 23 years old. Hope to continue to develop him. Power forward spot, PJ Washington was fantastic throughout the majority of the playoffs, was not necessarily great against the Celtics in the finals. And it's tough because, there was some times that he was, on the center, whether that was Porzingis when he played. He was playing against Tatum a decent amount. So his matchup was not easy, and that's one of the things that just made the Celtics so great, is that there really isn't an easy matchup for anybody. But he was an A-plus addition at the deadline by the Mavericks front office. They obviously picked him up from Charlotte, and he's probably going to be their power forward for a long time. Maxi Kleber, who I think has to still be injured, significantly. It's whatever that shoulder injury is. He just didn't shoot the ball, ever. Like, he had open looks. He had an open layup in Game 5 and just completely ignored it. So, I don't know what's going on with Kleber. Honestly, I was kind of impressed with some of his defensive efforts, especially against Tatum, but I don't know. He's 32. Omax didn't see the floor. Markieff Morris not going to be here next year. And then the center spot. Center spot's an interesting one for me right now because Gafford does start the games for Dallas, but Lively plays more minutes. So we have two really solid, relatively young center options here with Gafford and Lively. I'm a little bit higher on Lively. Overall wise, he had a pretty good series after a not so great first 2 games in Boston, but he's only 20, and I think the future is very, very bright for this young man. I've been high on him ever since he came out of Duke, and I will continue to be moving forward. And then Dwight Powell. Longtime Dallas Maverick, former Celtic. All right, let's get into it. Jason Kidd, who did sign a contract extension with Dallas, I believe, was it in the playoffs before, whatever the hell it was. Jason Kidd, I think, is a fine basketball coach. I think he had a couple tough moments throughout this series where he maybe didn't make the best use of his timeouts. There were a couple ones that he kind of stopped runs that looked like they were going to be good. There were a couple other ones, or a couple other situations where he did not necessarily use timeouts when I thought he should have, but overall wise, the ratings are solid. I do think he's a pretty good head coach, so he will be staying with us, and obviously he did just lead this team to the finals. All right, it is the draft time. We do not have our first round pick. If you remember what I was talking about earlier in this video, kind of saying, well, the Dallas Mavericks didn't make the playoffs last year almost intentionally because they wanted to keep their first round pick. If you date back all the way, was it 2019? It was the Kristaps Porzingis trade from the New York Knicks to the Dallas Mavericks that obviously did not work out for Dallas. And their first round pick, it's number 24 overall, is going to New York. So we do have the 30th overall pick in round 2. Funny enough, it is from the Celtics. It's via the Charlotte Hornets. I don't really think I'm going to get much use out of it, but screw it. I guess I'll draft somebody there. There's going to be a couple moves with this team. Ooh, Terrence Shannon Jr., 103rd. Really? I'm still going to take him. I mean, he might be a super low overall, but how low overall? Really? 71? You know what? I'll pick him up. I mean, he was ranked, 103rd, which is just ridiculous, all things considered. All right, qualifying offers. Alex Fudge, going to pass. Williams, pass. Brown, pass. Lawson, pass. None of those guys were going to see the rotation. Now we enter a free agency where there's not really a lot for us to do. Now, obviously, there are a couple different trades we can make. This backcourt is insanely talented. I would like to maybe upgrade my starting small forward spot. Not exactly sure what that trade's going to be, but I'll obviously show you guys when I find it. I might get some pushback for attempting a trade like this, but honestly, that is fine. If this was real life, I'm never making this deal. Well, maybe, but you get to understand what I'm saying. I think statistically, Dallas is the best kind of lob team in the league, and that makes sense because Luka's obviously a fantastic passer, and you have guys like Gafford and Lively who are fantastic at catching lobs. Now, my thought process here is, as I've already talked about, I'm super high on Derek Lively, and although I do think the 2-center system with Gafford and Lively is fantastic in real life and is definitely going to benefit Dallas moving forward, it's not going to mean as much here in 2K, right? It's just really not going to benefit us nearly the level it would and is in real life. So we're going to try to talk to the Milwaukee Bucks about a Chris Middleton trade. He is a clear-cut upgrade at our small forward spot. He's obviously an NBA champion, and I think he'd be a really nice addition to this team. So I am offering Gafford just because I do like Lively quite a bit. Tim Hardaway Jr., who was never going to be here next year anyways. They want Josh Green, Dwight Powell for Brook Lopez. I mean, I don't really need another center. I like Brook Lopez. How about you just take Dwight Powell instead? No. Okay, Dwight Powell is not super high on my list either. Let's see. Who else could we move here? I do want to try to get Omax some minutes, so that maybe moves on from Kleber, but I don't want to include him in this deal. So how about if I just do my first in 2025? And then I do a couple second-round picks to maybe put this over the top. All right. Welcome to the team, Chris Middleton. A clear-cut upgrade here at our small forward spot. I do want to play Omax heading into year 1, so he will be behind PJ. Kleber probably on his way out, and now we need to find ourselves a new backup center. First trade that came up's going to end up being the perfect one for us. Dante Exum, Maxi Kleber in a 2028 second-round pick, going to Philadelphia for Paul Reed in a 2028 first. I'm honestly kind of shocked that we are not only getting the best player in this deal, who is also significantly younger and on a multi-year contract, we're also getting a first-round pick. So it's fine by me. He's going to be Derek Lively's backup. Again, I know I cannot harp on it enough. I'm very, very high on Derek Lively. And I think especially if he is able to consistently develop that outside shot, he's going to be a very, very good center for a very long time. So looking at the rest of the roster right now, I am going to get Hardy some pretty decent minutes off the bench, whether it's at the backup 1 or the backup 2. We did draft Terrence Shannon Jr. He is going to spend some time in the G League. We're going to go ahead and sign a backup point guard or shooting guard and just move Hardy to the other spot. But we got Middleton and Green, we got Washington and Omax, and then obviously Lively and Reed. So let's just take a look at the guards here in free agency. Kevin Porter Jr., if he wasn't a bad human being, would be a nice addition to this team. Unfortunately, he is. Buddy Hield is 31. I do think his shooting would be really beneficial because The Dallas Mavericks were not good at three-point shooting in the NBA Finals, right? I think on open looks, they were like 17%, which is just, I mean, you're never going to win anything if you're shooting the ball that badly. So, guy like Buddy Hield, obviously a really good three-point shooter, although is 31 years of age, I think would be a really good benefit to this team. So, Derrick Jones Jr., good year for him. We're just going to let him go. Hopefully, he gets paid somewhere else and sees his minutes not even increase, but just sees an even bigger role with a different team. So, very excited to have Buddy Hield now on this team, and we are basically all set heading into our first season here in Dallas. We're ready to go for our first season here in Dallas. This offseason, we ended up making some pretty big moves, and although maybe not all of these moves were necessary, I think here in 2K especially, they're going to be a great benefit to us. So here's how it's going to look. It is Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Chris Middleton, who I think is a very nice addition to this team because I think he is that third scoring option, obviously a battle-tested NBA champion caliber player who could really be a nice third option to Luka and Kyrie. So I'm excited to have him here. Front court remains, well, I guess kind of similar with Washington and Derek Lively. And then the bench unit's seen a couple improvements. Buddy Hield went down a few overall. It's kind of as expected. We all know how 2K works with their regression system. He's going to take over as my new sixth man here. We obviously brought in Paul Reed from the Philadelphia 76ers. Got Josh Green as my backup small forward. Jaden Hardy now seeing a little bit of an increased role, although only 12 minutes a game as our backup point guard. And then Omax is going to get some minutes as my backup power forward. So that's the team. I mean, there are obviously some pretty big changes. And although maybe, as I mentioned, not all of them were necessary, we do want to win a championship. So that is my goal right now. I will see you guys at the end of year number 1. It would have been awesome to see Luka get an MVP, but Nikola Jokic takes away his, third, fourth, whatever the hell it is at this point. We are 57-25, though, so I am absolutely ecstatic about that record, especially in this gauntlet that is the 2024-2025 Western Conference. And I'm looking forward to a long and exciting playoff run. Stephon Castle's your Rookie of the Year. Ben Thompson is your sixth man. Wemby, your D-Boy. Czar Thompson, most improved. Zion, clutch player. Okay, you don't see that one too often. And JB Bickerstaff, who obviously is no longer the coach of the Cavs, is your Coach of the Year. All right, let's dive into a little bit. Where are we in the standings? We are the 3 seed here. Again, we all know damn well this West is very, very good. We're going to have the Utah Jazz, who ended up going 500 at 41-41. They're going to be our first round opponent, so I'm actually pretty excited about that possibility. Here are the numbers on the year. Luka with 27, 10, and 11. 50% from the field was very much in the MVP conversation. Kyrie Irving, Chris Middleton establishing himself at 18 points a game on this team as our third option. Kind of exactly what I was looking for, and I'll take it. Washington, Hield, Hardy, Lively, Reed, Green, and Omax. Rebounds per game was Luka, and assists, you guessed it, Luka Doncic. Okay, Utah Jazz here in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. It is, wow, James Harden, okay. I don't really, I mean, I understand. I guess he maybe chose a bag versus like ring chasing. I don't really know. Here is the rest of the Jazz. They are certainly, up and coming and have a nice young core and James Harden. And I just think we're the better team. So up 3-1 right now. We close them out in 5. Now, a second round matchup with the Denver Nuggets. This is a team that has won a championship. Nikola Jokic is, in my opinion, still the best player in the world, and he is going to be a very, very big pain in the ass for Derek Lively. So we win game 1 on the road and game 2 on the road. And like that, right? The Utah Jazz won more games against us? Okay. God bless 2K. Thunder, as okay, OG Anunoby here. Anybody surprised about that? I'm certainly not. No, we all know how, challenging it is to face the Thunder in these rebuilds just because they're so good, they're so young, they have so many picks and so much money. And it's going to be a challenge. We win game 1 on the road. They tie it up at 1-1, go down 2-1, tied it up at 2s, down 3-2, force game 7, lose game 7. Disappointing end to what was overall a very, very fun season. Joel Embiid getting out of the second round just to get his teeth kicked in by SGA. And now we head into another offseason. Of course, this does not mean it's the end, although we did kind of head into year 1 of this video and came up even shorter than the Dallas Mavericks actually came up in real life. LeBron James calling it a career at age 40. Insane to think he is still so good at that age. You got Russ, LeBron, and James Harden all entering, jersey retirements. You get it. All right, draft lottery, damn near 99% positive. We're not going to have a pick in here, so let's sim through it real quick. There you go. Now we take a look at staff signing. Jason Kidd is technically a coaching free agent. Do I go after Stauffer? I think this would be a good Stauffer video. I stand by, he might not even come here, so I am going to offer Kidd as well. I stand by all my points that I think Jason Kidd is a good head coach, and this is strictly if I'm not able, or if I do get Stauffer. Stauffer's not coming, so none of it's moot. I said what I said, and I stand by what I said about Jason Kidd. I think he's a fine head coach. I don't consider him, up there with the Eric Spoelstras and the Greg Popoviches of the world, but he's a fine coach, and obviously he did something right to lead that group to the NBA Finals. So we traded our first-round pick to Milwaukee in the deal that landed us Chris Middleton, so we're not going to be drafting this year. That's fine by me. So Kyrie, Middleton, both entering unrestricted free agency. Lively, Prosper, and Terrence Shannon Jr., all going to be coming back. Jaden Hardy also entering restricted free agency. So this is a big free agency for us. Love to go out and sign Tatum. No, we obviously have to bring our guys back. We don't really have any other options because we're pretty much already in the red in terms of our spending. So, and then Hardy wants about $8.5 million a year. So we get all three of these guys back, which is obviously very, very important. And in terms of any other major changes, I don't know if there's going to be a blockbuster. There might be one or two more kind of smaller changes because I know the regression is going to come on healed. I might kind of go ahead and move on from him right now, and then we'll go from there. We're making a relatively big deal here with the Miami Heat. I didn't expect to make a trade this big, but when it popped up, I knew it was too good not to accept. Jaime Jaquez Jr. is going to be coming in here. He's going to be the Josh Green replacement. Josh Green is still under contract, and if his overall doesn't go down too much when I move him to the shooting guard spot, he will stay. If not, we will move on. I am aware that we are giving up a draft pick here, but ultimately, I'm pretty high on Jaime Jaquez Jr., and I think he's going to be really good for a long time. So he's going to come in, be my new backup small forward, and then what does happen to Josh Green's overall if you move him to shooting guard? If it doesn't go down too much, it goes down 2. I'll live with it. If it ends up, being a net negative, I mean, the only thing you're changing is the overall, right? I mean, none of the stats, whether it's shooting or defense, those aren't going to change. So he'll be the backup to Kyrie. All right, we are all set, and we are heading into the start of year 2. I'll see you guys at the rotation. In terms of our expectations, last year's season was good. It was not great. Ultimately, our goal is to be back in the NBA Finals and hopefully win it all this time. This offseason, we made a couple moves. We improved the bench unit a little bit. Starting 5 remains exactly the same, but I expect this team to be very, very competitive once again. It is Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Chris Middleton, PJ Washington, who I'm actually surprised the overall is not really going up at all. He was 25 years old when we started this rebuild at a 78 overall, and now he's 27 at a 78 overall. So I don't know. I expect a little more. And then Derek Lively, whose overall is going up. Jaime Jaquez Jr. will be my new 6th man coming off the bench. You got Paul Reed here, Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, and then Omax rounding out this 10-man rotation. So I'm excited. Again, we're definitely going to be in the mix at the top of the Western Conference. I'd absolutely love the 1 seed, but I'd love a championship more. See you guys at the end of the second regular season. Well, I am definitely enjoying year 2 much more. In terms of major changes, there really weren't any. I mean, obviously, Jaime Jaquez Jr. as a 6th man is fantastic, but the core of this team remained the same. And not only does Luka win his first career MVP, but we go 69-13. Nice. I don't really know what changed. I guess Luka just played out of his goddamn mind, but the numbers aren't that different from last year. Cooper Flagg is a Houston Rocket. He's your Rookie of the Year. Men Thompson, 6th Man of the Year. Wemby, your DPOY. Scoot Henderson, Most Improved. Joel Embiid, Clutch Player of the Year. And Jason Kidd is your Coach of the Year. All right. Very, very good regular season. Of course, it is all about the championships. We were only 69 wins. We were only 4 games up on Oklahoma City. God, this is a sick game. All right, let's dive into some numbers real quick. Luka won an MVP. I'm assuming he led us in all major categories, all across the board. Feel free to pause if you would like. In terms of rebounds, yep, you guessed it, and assists, you know it. All right, first round, us and the Sacramento Kings. Fox, Ellis, Barnes, Murray, Sabonis. Good team, doesn't move me nearly enough to actually concern me. We end up sweeping. Now we're moving on to the Houston Rockets here. Nikola Topic, Jalen Green, Cooper Flagg, Jabari Smith Jr., Şengün. Really talented young core there in Houston. I just think, again, we're just too damn good at this point. So we have yet to lose a playoff game as we approach the 65-win Oklahoma City Thunder here in the NBA I can't fucking speak. Western Conference Finals. Here goes nothing. We lose game 1. Win game 2, win game 3. They tied at 2s. We go up 3-2. Don't fucking do this. 69 fucking wins. And they still get fucking... God bless this game. I don't know what the, fan fiction obsession, what is he, Shaq? I mean, I understand Chet Holmgren's going to be very good for a very long time, but this is Shaq with a 3-point shot, minus 4 rebounds. What am I supposed to do about that? That's insane. That's the legitimate obsession that 2K has with the Thunder. They need to chill the fuck out on that a little, just a little. I understand they're going to be very. Oh, Steph called it a career. I understand they're going to be very good for a very, very long time, but there's nothing that is written in stone in terms of where things are going to go. All right, let's see what we got here. Nothing in the lottery. Not really surprising. Miami ends up falling off a cliff. They have the number 1 overall pick. Kid's going to stay. Disappointing end, but I'm not putting that on him. That's way more 2K's fault with their love of Oklahoma City. We now head up to team player options. Luka declines. We all know he's going to get, 300, 400, whatever the hell million price tag it's going to be here in free agency. So we also have Reed and Washington as free agents. Luka has 2 real offers from the Clippers and the Warriors. So we're just going to not risk anything. That's a max contract. Let's bring our guy back. And then Washington, weirdly enough, I actually might consider somebody that's a sign-and-trade candidate. So I am going to overpay him a little bit. And then Paul Reed's been a fine backup center. But ultimately, if we're going to have to upgrade somewhere in the starting 5, he might be the odd man out. There's certainly an argument to say, hey, maybe Chris Middleton could see a little regression with that. So I'm not 100% sold on what I'm going to do right now, but at least one big trade is coming. We're going to work on a deal here with the Indiana Pacers and see if they're maybe willing to swap Chris Middleton for Pascal Siakam. Now, obviously, it's a small forward and a power forward we are trading for, and do not worry, I have a plan in mind. So, let's see what happens here. They're not going to take that straight up. I think I also have... oh, no. Do I want to move on from Omax? I might be willing to do so. Right? He's getting 10 minutes a night. You could put me out there. No, you actually couldn't. But you understand what I'm saying. It's not nearly as important as we head into a championship or bust season. I need this team to be as good as possible. So holy shit, we are completely overpaying right now. And again, I don't love doing it, but it's honestly exactly what we needed. So my thought process is let's have Washington come off the bench, right? Let's have him in a 7th, 8th man capacity. And then honestly, I am a huge fan of Jaime Jaquez Jr. I think he's going to take a next step once he enters the starting lineup. So maybe a little risky, but I do think it is very much well worth it in terms of what this team could be. And let's bring over a 3-point sniper here in Sam Hauser to be my new backup small forward. So that's it in terms of moves. I maybe could have made one more trade and added a small upgrade over Jaime Jaquez Jr., but this team is so good. We only just got better. I'll see you guys at the start of the final regular season. We won damn near 70 basketball games last regular season. We were the 1 seed in the Western Conference. We made it all the way to the conference finals and then, of course, lost to the buzzsaw that is 2K's obsession in the Oklahoma City Thunder. So this offseason, we made one kind of major trade. We swapped Chris Middleton for Pascal Siakam, inserted Jaime Jaquez Jr. into the starting lineup, and ultimately, I will say this team's better than last year. I really hope it's enough. I'm just kind of begging at this point. It's Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Pascal Siakam, Derek Lively the second going to be my starting center. Bench unit, Jaden Hardy's developing quite nicely as he's up to an 80 overall and will be my new 6th man. You got PJ Washington now here as a 7th man at 18 minutes a night. You got Paul Reed, Josh Green, and now Sam Hauser. So this team's good. It was championship good from year 1, year 2, and now in year 3. We just got to go out and win the fucking thing at this point. I'll see you guys at the end of the final regular season. Another MVP for Luka, a 71-win season. It's all fantastic, but who gives a literal fucking shit at this point? It is all about a championship here in Dallas, and I am ready to win one right now. Great season, Luka. Elsie Harrington, your Rookie of the Year. Hugo Gonzalez, your 6th man. Wemby, another depoy. Dylan Harper, Most Improved. Damian Lillard and Jason Kidd, 2nd straight Coach of the Year. All right. I mean, I'm happy. We're going to have to see these fucking demons in the Western Conference Finals again. I can feel it in my fucking loins at this point. This is going to be a problem. All right, points per game. Luka, Kyrie, Siakam, Hardy. Wow, insane season out of him. Beautiful off the bench as a 6th man. Rebounds, Luka. Assists is Luka. I didn't realize he was 0.1 rebounds off a triple-double. That's pretty brutal. All right, us and the Memphis Grizzlies. Good team. Do not move me nearly enough for me to take them seriously. So let's sim through this first round as we win in 5. Now, Denver could be a little bit more challenging. Now, they have lost Jamal Murray. Still have Nikola Jokic, MPJ, Gordon, Straw. They're still here. Added Mitchell Robinson, but they don't scare me nearly as much without Murray. So let's sim through the West semifinals right now. We are currently up 3-1. Close them out in 5. And oh, shit. Now, I don't want to call us, I'm just going to say it. I was nervous about the Thunder. I am, not exactly thrilled to be facing this Houston team who's really talented, but I'm significantly less scared of the Rockets than I was of the Thunder. So up 3-0 and we sweep. Finally back in the finals, and it is the Philadelphia 76ers. You got Maxey, Sam Merrill, Bryce. This is just not a great fit in terms of front court. All right, was that CJ McCollum off the bench? Oh my God. All right, ring chasing at its finest. We are currently up 2-0. We go up 3-0, and yes, I'll get a little bit of gameplay. I know this video hasn't been the longest in the world. Many of you do enjoy the longer videos. So let's sim through this real quick. I would obviously love to sweep them. It would also be cool to win on our home floor, and it looks like that sweep is going to... Well, maybe not. I'll see you guys in there. I just saw, as I was kind of simming in, scroll back in the video 5 seconds. We had a 52-point third quarter. It's absolutely insane. All right, we're here in the game. We have a somewhat comfortable lead at 8 points right now. Of course, this one's not over. Luka, I cannot have you be a traffic cone right now. All right, let's just see. Maxi free throw jumper. We fouled him, and that's Luka's fourth. So I got to kind of keep an eye on that. I cannot just be going out there and doing whatever I want. So I'll try to kind of talk about Dallas a little bit in this run that they had. I know we've touched on a lot of different things at this point. But no, it was an insane run. I mean, it was going to be an insane run no matter who came out of that gauntlet of a Western Conference. And ultimately, I don't think it's insane to say, and you can call it my bias if you want, I think it was pretty clear that the Celtics were the best team in the league all season. I know that doesn't automatically mean championship, but it was evident that although the West is clearly a better conference, the Celtics were clearly the best team. So I know a lot of people just completely hate the Celtics, and I wouldn't love Boston sports if I were you either. I mean, we win more than anyone else. So, I mean, I get it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Celtics have dominated the league because that's just wrong. But as a whole, I would hate Boston sports too. I get it. For me, though, it was so clear, and everybody always just says, oh, it's the same old thing. Celtics are going to get, to the conference finals, the NBA finals. They're going to choke it away. I mean, sure. I guess you can make that argument, but I truly do not think people kind of understand that, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are obviously, have been in this spot before and have obviously not won. They had an opportunity in 22. They ended up losing to Steph Curry and the Dynasty Warriors, or end of the Dynasty Warriors. And then they had an opportunity in 23. And then Jimmy Butler and the Heat went up 3-0. They came back all the way to Game 7. Tatum sprains his ankle. So I don't think they beat Dallas. I don't think they beat Denver last year if they were to make the finals. But ultimately, this is a team that is led by a 26 and a 27-year-old, and people were acting like they had just choked, much like the fucking 76ers have for the entire tenure of Joel Embiid. So I'm not here to toss out blame right now. I think sometimes people's expectations need to be simmered down a little bit. So I'm not expecting anybody to change their attitudes on the Celtics or Tatum and Brown and all those guys, but I'm just saying, you gotta, now consider the fact they do have a ring. I'm just saying. So I love this season. I was a huge fan of it. I give a ton of credit to Dallas, who I know we're probably supposed to be talking about right now, because this was a team that I don't think anybody really expected to be in the finals. Right? When you look at just the preseason odds with what the betting trends were and all those things, Dallas probably wasn't super high on the list. I don't have the exact list in front of me, so I don't know where they were, but I would imagine they were, maybe in the mid to early teens if I had to. That probably feels accurate. So just a great season from them all around. Again, Mavericks fans, if you are watching at this point, I know it sucks. There's no way about it. That summer of 22 was not a fun one for me from, a basketball perspective. I just felt like, we had the biggest opportunity in the world in front of us, and you just came up short. So I'm not saying Dallas is going to be back. I'm not saying they won't be back. There's no guarantees in this thing, no matter how good of a superstar like Luka Doncic you have. None of it is guaranteed. So enjoy the season you did have. Enjoy the playoff run because you guys were really, really good. And you came up big in a lot of different moments. So ton of credit to Dallas. I am very, very happy that my Celtics did win, but I want to give credit where credit's due. So this one is over. We are going to go ahead and capture our championship right now. It took till year 3, and maybe all things considered, that was a little bit too long to wait, but I am always going to take a championship no matter which way it comes, as Luka Doncic is your finals MVP. So we sweep the 76ers. We end this one on a high note. This was a very fun rebuild. Again, for those of you who are saying, well, you made so many moves that you didn't necessarily have to make. 2K is not a big fan of the Mavericks. I think if we just kind of ran it back and only made like small bench moves, I really don't think this team would have been anywhere close, especially with those fucking Demon Thunder here in the Western Conference. So no, all things considered, this was a fantastic rebuild. I very much enjoyed it. I really do want to give a ton of credit to the Mavericks. It was a fun series. I know it wasn't necessarily the most competitive series, but I enjoyed it very, very much. So I hope you guys, especially you Mavericks fans, had a fun playoff run because never know. You really never know with these things. I mean, they were 5 seed, right? They're 5 seed in one of the best Western conferences ever, and they ended up coming out. So ton of credit to them, ton of credit to everybody on that team, and I think they will be back in the mix next year. So excited. Hope you guys enjoy this one. We obviously have one off-season rebuild to go. It's going to be the Celtics. It is going to come tomorrow, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section. That is it for me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.